Hello everybody. In today's video we are going to be talking about how to capture epic sunrises. In today's video I'm out here in the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument shooting a pretty cool arch. You can see the sky is already starting to go off, so we're going to make this intro short and sweet, and then we're going to get right into the good stuff where I'm going to show you guys how I'm going about capturing this amazing sunrise that looks like it's going to unfold right behind me here. Really excited, so let's go ahead and jump right in there. Let's look at what I've got going on my camera. Alright, well you can probably see the crazy sunrise and my camera right here. Let's look at how I've got this thing set up. So on my camera, I'm going to turn up the brightness so you can see it a little bit better perhaps, and maybe that will blow it out, so let's turn it back down. Anyway, so on my camera, I've got my composition set up in such a way where I've got some leading lines coming down here, and then I've got my main subject obviously, and then the nice clouds here, and I'm just continually taking images here. Now what you want to be doing is dialing in your exposure. So the ISO is 100, as you can see down here. I've got my aperture at f10 so I don't have to do a focus stack, because as you can see I've got a little bit of range here in my scene, and then I've got my shutter speed at 1 second. I'm just changing the shutter speed to compensate for whatever's going on in the sky. Right now it's 1 second, but it's going to get faster as it continues to get brighter. Now, when I picked out this spot for sunrise, I made sure to pick a spot that faces towards where the sun is rising. So this spot faces towards the east, which is right where the sun is rising. And maybe you can see right here that the sun is going to rise right about over there. So by picking a spot that faces east, it gives me a lot higher chance of getting a good sunrise, because there's a better chance that the clouds over there are going to be lit up than, say, the clouds over here, which are the opposite direction. That would be the sunset direction. And I've been out to this composition a few times before. I know this arch actually shoots best, in my opinion, from this side. Of course, I can shoot the arch from over there facing more south. I could shoot it from really anywhere around here, but this is my favorite spot. It makes the arch look the coolest, in my opinion. So I'm just going to continue capturing photos as the sunrise continues to get really colorful and really nice. So you want to make sure that your camera brightness is actually turned up. As you could see a couple minutes ago in the video, I had mine turned down. I was out shooting night photos last night where I like to turn my brightness down, but I actually want to turn it back up, because when I turned it up I noticed that my scene was a little bit overexposed. So make sure you turn it up when you're shooting in the daytime. It's always nice to have a bright camera screen so that you can see it, and that is really one of my biggest tips for shooting out here, is make sure your screen is bright, make sure you're not overexposing the image. You want to expose so that nothing in your scene is blown out. If you use the histogram, make sure nothing is touching the right side of your image. So it's totally okay if things are leaning towards the right side or the left side, but you do not want anything touching the right side. Now the way that people do this is they do a technique called expose to the right, and basically what that is you just expose your image so that you are all the way as far to the right as you can with your brightest pixels, but they don't quite touch the right side. This way you maintain the detail in your raw file to go back and edit and bring in as much color as you can, because if you blow it out, you're not going to get the colors in your image that you want, that you're seeing in the field. And if you are shooting sunrises, it's nice to go to a spot that you've been before, or perhaps camp out at the place where you want to shoot, because you always want to scout out a spot beforehand. And nothing is worse than rolling up to a location, getting a great sunrise, but you didn't quite budget enough time to hike out to your spot. Or once you get to your spot, you can't find a composition you like because you've never been there before. For that reason, I chose this arch that I've been to many times before, because I knew exactly where I was going to set up before I was even here, and I knew exactly which direction it's facing so that it's going to look in the perfect direction so that I can capture the best images. So if you are shooting directly at the direction the sun is rising, think about where the sun is going to rise once you're taking your photos. Now I actually use the PhotoPills app here to see that the sun is going to rise right in between the arch. And now you can see here when I swipe this, that little dot is the sun, and that is about 20 minutes from now. So you can see the sun is going to rise right in between the arch, or slightly close to it. Of course, this is AR technology, so it's not going to be exactly perfect, but I may move slightly to the left or slightly to the right just to capture the sun. But I can get the sun coming through the arch, which is going to provide a really nice backlit situation here. It's going to be nice because the arch is going to kind of be a silhouette, whereas behind it is going to be lit up, colorful, and there's going to be a really nice sunrise coming up right behind it there. Now, as I continue to take photos, I need to dial my exposure back down to be a little bit faster because it's getting brighter outside. So make sure that you're always changing your exposure. I've seen a lot of photographers mess up because they just leave their exposure at one spot and they just click photos all morning, and you unfortunately aren't going to get very many good shots because all of your shots later in the morning are going to get too bright. You need to keep adjusting your shutter speed. I don't recommend touching the ISO or aperture at this point. Leave it the same. Just keep adjusting the shutter speed in order to stop some of that light from coming in and capturing your photos properly exposed. So like I mentioned before, that spot is my favorite spot to shoot, and I want to show you guys why it's so important to completely walk around your subject, especially out here in the desert Southwest where you're a lot of times shooting subjects that are smaller. You can walk all the way around them in a couple minutes. You can see this angle here. I'm not actually that far from my camera, but this angle here is not quite as interesting. The arch doesn't look quite as cool as it does from the side. And then as you continue to walk this way, the arch continues to get not as exciting. One thing that I really like when I'm shooting an arch is if I can shoot it to where the whole of the arch goes completely into the sky and you can't see the horizon. You can see right here, we can see the horizon from this arch. And also because of those rocks under the arch, it's making the arch look a little bit smaller. So this is not really my favorite spot. Now, there is one more spot that I like here, and I usually like doing this for Milky Way photography. And I will actually come right in here and shoot from this angle. And this angle can be really nice, especially if you get down low for a Milky Way. But for this sunrise, obviously, I'm not shooting this angle because we're facing the wrong direction from the sunrise. So it doesn't look nearly as good because there's no nice clouds over there to the southwest. Now, if you walk under here, you of course want to check out this angle as well. You can see our sunrise is kind of dying off here, but I'm just showing you few of the options out here. And from this side, it also doesn't look quite as good. Maybe for a sunset, this would look all right where the sun's setting back here behind us. But for the most part, I think I'm in the best spot to shoot the sunrise that was this direction. So always walk all the way around your compositions when you can to find the absolute best spot. Now, a lot of photographers will ask me about focusing, manual focus versus autofocus. When it's light outside like this, if you have a nicer camera, the autofocus is going to work great. It's going to save you a lot of time. And honestly, I trust my camera to not make an error more so than I trust myself. So what I like to do is set up my autofocus so that it is a flexible spot, and then I can move that spot around. Maybe you can see this red box here, and I move that around to the subject of the scene, and then I can focus right on that. The focus will pick up very quickly, and then of course what I can always do is review my images and zoom in to make sure that it's sharp. I always recommend zooming in and making sure it's sharp, whether you used auto or manual focus, because that can help you to make sure that you have in focus images so that when you go home, you don't just then see that all your photos are out of focus, because obviously that would be a huge bummer to come out here, get a great sunrise, and have photos that aren't in focus. So that's how I go about focusing. I use the autofocus, like I said. You can manual focus if you want, but your camera will probably have less error than you will if I had to guess. Alrighty guys, well that is a wrap. That is how I go about capturing really nice sunrise images. This one was in the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument. Really nice sunrise. Unfortunately, it is a little bit too cloudy. It does not look like the sun is going to peek through that arch, but that's all right. I got some really nice photos of the color that was here this morning. Really nice sunrise that I'm really happy with. So hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. You get a little glimpse at how I go about shooting sunrises and pick up a few tips and tricks that I use while I'm shooting those sunrises. If you guys have any questions about this shooting sunrises, sunsets, whatever it may be photography related, please drop it down below in the comments. I always appreciate reading your guys' comments and responding to your questions. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.